thoughts, opinions, and general overall shades thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yes. Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, August 14th, and today is National Navajo Code Talkers Day today, you guys.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah? Speaking in code?
They were a good asset in World War II.
Interesting. So I'm pretty sure it's not Morse code that they're talking.
No, they're speaking native Navajo, and the Japanese couldn't understand the language they were speaking. So they could talk openly in yards of the front line, and no one knew what they were talking about. It was pretty effective.
It's also National Creamsicle Day today, you guys.
Okay, creamsicles are fucking delicious.
Like
that one I'll get behind. You found a food holiday I'll get behind other than Aperol Spritz Day. Good job, Jason.
Well, I mean, yesterday, Jenny Beth, was National Filet Mignon Day.
I know, but I'm not a big steak girl. It makes me feel really heavy.
She doesn't like steak.
In your gut for a long time.
She doesn't like steak, you guys. Interesting.
I don't not like steak. It just makes me feel heavy. I had a really nice steak cooked for me recently by a really cute guy.
Stone, you all right? Are you on mute, Stone? Because I thought you said something.
Am I on mute? I didn't think so. I found it odd that you don't like steak. That's all. I
don't not like steak. I'm just mostly pescatarian. My body just doesn't process it well. So basically, never mind. That was about to get crass. It's a morning show. Keep it rolling.
She gets the, you know what I'm saying? So, Stone, it looks like your shirt is the same color as a creamsicle today.
It is. I wore this for the Texas Longhorns and Creamsicle Day.
All right. Fair enough. Well, hook 'em, Stone.
Hook 'em, baby.
Yes.
And for Creamsicle
Day. Thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms, you guys. And we are going to kick it off with Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She's the mouth of the South and America's sweetheart. And apparently she's here to tell you a thing or two about you, your life. And maybe she has some good news today, but we shall see. It is none other than Miss Jenny Beth Dills.
She's founder of Cannabis and Justice Served, a 501c3.
Oh, did you want me to mention that stuff too?
I mean, if I'm going to be here, I might as well get.
Oh, so now you're creating standards within your introduction. So then when I introduce you that way, then eventually you're going to complain and be like, how come I always have the same intro?
No. I mean, listen, I still say what people do. I just spice it up. It's okay, Jason. Okay. I got you. Hey, good intro, buddy. And I'm now the mouth of SoCal. I'm from. So yeah, shut up.
Okay.
Okay, so I actually do have some good news, depending, right? Massachusetts Cannabis Social Equity Trust Fund just made its biggest splash yet, awarding a record $26.5 million in grants to 181 marijuana businesses this fiscal year. That's more than 10 times the amount handed out in its first round last year. Created in 2022 to help entrepreneurs from communities hit hardest by marijuana prohibition, the fund saw a major cash boost over the past year, bringing in $29 million from the state's marijuana regulation fund in April. plus small private donations. Grants range from $17,000 to $500,000 and can cover everything from rent and payroll to equipment and licensing fees. Recipients include Edson Charles of Gas Bus in Middleborough, who says his $500,000 award will slash his mortgage costs and keep his small operation competitive, at least for now. But Charles warns that corporate giants with deep pockets are still squeezing out mom and pop shops through low pricing and better access to capital. Caroline Pinu, owner of STEM Haverville, also received the maximum grant. She's using it to renovate her historic building in preparation for a future social consumption license. She says the funding is a lifeline, but it only covers a fraction of her $1.5 to $2 million upgrade. While more than 100 applicants were turned away, state officials say the program, funded by cannabis taxes and fees, will continue awarding grants in the years ahead, giving small, diverse businesses a fighting chance in an increasingly volatile market. So I think this is good news. A $500,000 grant, you guys, for those of y'all that are crying and saying it's not enough, over in Massachusetts, that's way more than any state or municipality has given any social equity applicants. So I would take that $500,000 and fucking run with it and say, thank you. You don't lick the gift horse in the face. But also, you guys, social equity is not the guarantor of success. This is not the promise of generational wealth. This is not the promise of you are going to be fucking rich forever and ever and ever. What it is social equity programs are designed to keep, unlike other industries, people who have been justice impacted and justice impacted. Wow.
Yeah.
You say impaired. Impacted is the right way to say it.
That's the same
justice
thing.
Impacted
Same
and
thing.
justice involved. Individuals from being prohibited from participating in this market. So what it gives you is not a guarantor of success. It gives you the opportunity to stand up a business and fail like everyone else. So if your prices are too high, if you can't be competitive with large companies, then I would suggest looking at your business practices. How are you trying to grow? Why are you going to move into a historic building that's going to cost you $2 million in rehab if you're an underfunded social equity company? Go find something else. I understand it's probably a gorgeous building. I totally get it. When you restore a historical building, there are all kinds of requirements that are not going to be levied on you in other types of properties. Why would you do this? So your poor planning doesn't mean that it's social equity's fault that you might not be making the returns that you're looking for. But all in all, this is good news, and hopefully more people can benefit from this grant. I'll throw it back to you guys.
Well, I guess this is some good news.
I like
coming
that
up.
it's a grant because I've got social equity people who get loans out of these social equity programs they got to pay back. Then when they can't make their nut, now they've got this debt, which you can't discharge in bankruptcy. It creates a mess. So the grants are better for the business, but Jenny Beth, you're right, because piss poor planning on the business's part does not make an emergency for anybody else.
You know, my mom used to say that, Dale.
It's just a mess.
My mom used to tell me that all the time. She used to tell me poor planning on your part doesn't constitute an emergency on my part.
Right.
My old man told me the same thing. I taught my kids the same way. It's called conscientiousness. Make a plan, think about it, write it down, bounce it off other people, make sure it makes sense. And if people are telling you, this, you're fucking stupid to do this, maybe you should get your ego out of the way and listen to it. Because this is an industry that's almost impossible to break into. And when you get here, if you don't understand vagaries of business and you think, I can have 10 bud tenders to hold everybody's hand, the answer is the fuck you can. No, you've got to run this lean and mean. And if you don't, you're going to be out trying to give this business away for people to take over the debt.
Literally. And looking at this, when I read the article, I was like, why on God's beautiful green earth would you take on a $2 million build out for a fucking social lounge? I don't know if you realize what consumption lounges do, but honey.
But it's going to be so nice. It's going to be so nice, Jenny Beth. It's going to be so perfect.
Well, prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance, in the words of my dinosaur.
Hold, can you say that one more time? A little bit slower?
Prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance.
What is that, like 7 Ps?
Yeah. It's better than Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, but it's the opposite of what I said, is that, lack of planning doesn't make my emergency. And, this is where I've had a lot of trouble with social equity applicants, that they just want to go gung-ho and everyone's going to help them. The answer is no. If you can't make this on your own, you can't blame other people for not coming to your rescue. It's just hard to watch sometimes. But this is an industry that is just ruthless to you when you're not making it.
Yeah.
A lot of them aren't making it.
I had one social equity applicant that is being successful standing up a very large, very expensive business. And that is because he has set up something that is, one, fully vertical, and two, very different. It's very innovation focused. It's very focused on medical necessity and very focused on developing from almost a pharmaceutical standpoint, not pharma, but very close. So I think that that's a reason why he was able to secure the funding that he was able to secure. Also, he is an insanely business savvy individual. This is someone who has already successfully operated businesses. And that's a lot of the challenges. Like when I'm coaching social equity applicants, it's business 101 in a lot of ways. So that's fine. That's totally fine, guys. But you need to get some advice before you jump in over your heads like this. But $500,000, honestly, should cover 6 months rent, something like that on a large commercial building. So if it's not covering and it's not doing anything that's super helpful for you, and with $500,000 cash infusion into your business that you don't have to pay back, I don't want to hear about the fact that your prices still need to be sky high.
You mean it's not time to go trick off, Jenny Beth?
It's not time to go trick off, Jason Beck, now.
Man, $500,000 in the bank. Man, that's a great day.
Well, please remember that when you take these grants, you also have to submit receipts to prove that you spent the money on eligible expenses. Or you have problems.
It could be a criminal act to just go buy your girlfriend a Beamer or something like that.
Yeah, you can't. No tricking off, Jason.
Interesting.
For the business.
What do you got to say, Stone? For the business.
For the business. What are you talking about?
Oh, man, this sounds like
Beamer? Yeah, come on.
It's like weed for the people.
Definitely. I agree with you 100%, Jenny Beth. And when you're setting these people up to fail, when you're giving them this much money and no guidance, like it really needs to come with an instruction booklet. It's something.
How about a spender's manual?
Ooh, a spender's manual.
Yeah.
No, it comes with regulatory guidelines, and you're told when you're going through the program what you're supposed to spend it on and what the eligible expenses are. And if you don't understand what you're reading, once again, I would caution you, call somebody like me or Dale, and we'll help you.
Learn what a bidda means, and then figure out how much you're going to pay after you earn your money. Now what it's going to cost you, and crunch some numbers. I get an accountant involved from the jump so that people know what they're looking at. We crunch numbers, set up businesses based upon what the accountant thinks is the best business model for the business. And then you just got to be tight on the reins with people. And I still have social equity people getting sued for HR being just a horrible mess in their business. Like, okay, there's another thing you better have a plan for. As employees, as soon as the employee says, hey, I was wronged by my company, there are predatory law firms out there that'll pick them up and they'll sue your ass. And I've had to settle cases for tens of thousands of dollars where they did basically nothing wrong. They were just stupid about handling employees. It's just another layer of problems running a business in this country. California is one of the worst. If you don't understand that, if you want to go out and waste that kind of money, give it to me. Don't set it on fire.
That's what I'm saying, Dale. Send it to me. Exactly. Yeah. I'll show you how to spend it correctly.
And for those of you that don't know what it is, EBITDA is your earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. And depreciation needs to be a factor in that calculation. In some other businesses, it doesn't need to be. But in this, where we have a product that degrades over time, you need to factor in depreciation if you have long-sitting stock.
And these are critical features because 280E is going to eat your ass up if you don't have everything planned out. And even if you do, it's hard to make the world go round with all the tax and regulatory costs in this industry. So, I mean, it's not like, I can sell weed like I used to out of my trunk. No, it's not like that anymore.
Well, Stone, it's not like that anymore, Stone.
Not like that. I wish it was.
I know, me too. And on that, we're going to roll into our next commercial, and we're going to be right back. And we're back, and we are back,
And
you
before
guys.
I say anything that I might not regret, but I probably shouldn't say on live, coming up next, the High at 9 head honcho, the highest Republican, and my best friend, Jason Beck.
Yes, good morning,
But you know it
everybody.
was our fault, Jason. Love you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm sure. I happen to agree with you on that one, Jenny Beth. I actually do agree with you, I think, on that. But we've had all this rescheduling talk going on, and Congress apparently has been listening too, because a U.S. Congressman vows to file a 1-3 act to reschedule cannabis. That's right, Republican, by the way, Representative Greg Steube said he will reintroduce legislation to move cannabis to Schedule 3 on the heels of Trump's public comments, you guys. As President Donald J. Trump weighs executive action over the next few weeks to potentially reschedule cannabis, a Republican U.S. Congressman announced on August 11th that he plans to take legislative action. That's right. U.S. House Representative Greg Steube, a Republican from Florida, pledged to reintroduce his Marijuana 1-3 Act this week to reclassify cannabis from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 drug under the Controlled Substances Act. Steube announced his intentions on social media following Trump's first public comments on cannabis policy since taking office nearly 8 months ago. The president said that while, in quotes, some people like it and some people hate the whole concept of cannabis, his administration plans to determine whether the plant should be rescheduled over the next few weeks, you guys. The executive branch's rescheduling plot has been ongoing since sleepy President Joe Biden asked his administration in October of 2022 to initiate an administrative process to review how cannabis is scheduled under federal law. As a Schedule 1 controlled substance, cannabis is the same company as heroin, LSD, and ecstasy with no currently accepted medical use. Steube, who has filed the Marijuana 1-3 Act in the past 3 Congresses, plans to renew his legislative branch push this week. In a quote, he says, "It makes zero sense that federal law treats marijuana the same as heroin and LSD," he wrote on X. "It is even more ridiculous that cocaine is technically classified as less restrictive than marijuana," he says. Cocaine is listed under Schedule 2 alongside fentanyl and Oxycontin, Vicodin, Adderall, Ritalin, and other drugs considered to have medical value. And in a quote, "This week, I'm reintroducing my Marijuana 1-3 Act to move marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 under the Controlled Substances Act," Steube said. "This is a common sense change that will finally allow real scientific research into its medicinal value and ensure our drug laws reflect reality. And I urge my colleagues and the Trump administration to get it done," he says. While cannabis would remain criminalized under a Schedule 3 status, I hope everyone heard that clearly, penalties related to manufacturing, distributing, and possessing could be less severe. However, drug trafficking penalties related to cannabis are often discretionary in the judicial system and vary from state to state. Interesting, you guys. See, there could be no 280E relief just because of that statement right there. Also, while researching Schedule 3 substances often involves less burdensome requirements by the Drug Enforcement Administration compared to Schedule 1 substances, the notion that moving cannabis to Schedule 3 would unlock research opportunities is a false narrative, according to legal experts. When Biden signed the Bipartisan Medical Marijuana and Cannabidiol Research Expansion Act back in December of 2022, the legislative intent was to facilitate cannabis research as a Schedule 1 drug through streamlining the DEA registration process and removing U.S. Food and Drug Administration barriers. However, by creating separate requirements for cannabis researchers and manufacturers, the act may have unilaterally cemented certain Schedule 1 research barriers into place if cannabis is reclassified to a Schedule 3 substance, according to the Nonpartisan Congressional Research Service, better known as the CRS. While demand for research could grow with less stigma tied to a Schedule 3 listing, many restrictions will remain in place, including a barrier for researchers to source high THC cannabis from state licensed cultivators. And Jason Adelstone, an attorney at Harris Slawski LLP, shares the CRS viewpoint and in a quote says, "One of the most commonly touted benefits of moving marijuana to Schedule 3 is that it will bust open research restrictions," he wrote on July 28th. And unfortunately, due to existing legislation, specifically the Medical Marijuana and Cannabidiol Research Expansion Act, this benefit is largely illusionary. vary, you guys. Maybe illusory. Same thing. In defining cannabis separately from its schedule, the Research Act codified Schedule 1 level restrictions on cannabis manufacturing and research, regardless of its schedule status. And according to Addlestone, however, the appetite for state-level university-led research could improve under Schedule 3, less restrictive perception, Addlestone wrote. And when Stubbe introduced the previous iteration of the Marijuana 1 to 3 Act in January of 2023, he said one of the main benefits of the legalization would be to allow researchers to access federal funds to determine the plant's medicinal value. And however, there was no specific language in the 2-page bill related to providing these federal funds or any mention of research in general. And in addition to ongoing limitations on federal research, reclassifying cannabis to a Schedule 3 won't be a silver bullet for banking access, interstate commerce, or market access, and separate congressional actions like the Safe Banking Act would be needed. One of the most impactful benefits of moving cannabis to Schedule 3 involves removing 280E tax burdens in the Internal Revenue Code for state-sanctioned cannabis businesses tied to Schedule 1 listing, and these businesses are barred from deducting ordinary business expenses from payroll and rent, utilities, and such. Another Schedule 3 perk would be removing certain marketing violations for businesses, which under Federal Code 21 USC 843C cannot advertise in newspapers, magazines, or other publications under a Schedule 1 status. However, state-by-state marketing and advertising regulations may vary. But still, the continuing unknowns of one presidential administration's enforcement policies to the next present cannabis businesses, states, and citizens with unwavering certainties. But with 40 states legalizing medical cannabis since 1996 and 24 states legalizing adult use cannabis since 2012, the federal government represents a late arrival on the scene. And in a final quote, "It is a very complicated subject. The subject of marijuana," Trump said during an August 11th White House press conference, while mentioning his administration's upcoming cannabis rescheduling decision. "That determination, hopefully, will be the right one," he says. And ultimately, we shall see. And again, you know, I went into on yesterday's show about what I think Trump should do and will do and whatnot, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. And I'll throw in those thoughts again after I hear what you guys got to say.
Descheduler bust. I mean, Jason, like, we'll see. This would be amazing if he schedules it, but like, I don't know. This is terrifying. I feel like if a reschedule happens, I mean, good thing I just passed a real estate exam because you guys are all going to need new jobs too.
Schedule 3 is not going to fix the current problems we have.
No, exactly.
It's just not. And it's a pipe dream to think that, all of a sudden they're going to start doing more research. No. If you don't have a Schedule 3 license, you're still a criminal, still against federal law, and all the minimum mandatories against marijuana are still going to be there. I mean, they're draconian. And the problem is that the propaganda boxed them into a corner. People still, say they believe the nonsense about cannabis being, the end of Western civilization and reefer madness and all that kind of nonsense. The pharmaceutical companies are just going to cream their genes because they can now develop cannabinoid patent products and add them to drugs. And you and I are never going to be able to have access to that because I'm a criminal. I'm never going to get a fucking Schedule 3 license. Most people I know in social equity positions are never getting a Schedule 3 license. Most people in the industry right now are never getting a Schedule 3 license because getting those, you just don't walk in and say, hey, I want to apply for a Schedule 3 license. You got to come in with lots of things to convince them you're the right person to give this license to. And we're tainted.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I mean, and this would actually align. Oh, I'm sorry, Deal. My bad.
Oh, okay. No. I was just saying shit. Sorry.
Oh, well, shit. It would actually go with what I've always said, which is they don't give a fuck about us, the actual cannabis industry, right? And I've always said that the federal government will legalize cannabis once they figure out and their, cohorts figure out how to properly monetize and protect it for themselves, which I think the pharmacy industry has actually done a pretty good job of as of late, unfortunately. I mean, we saw some patents come out of GW Pharmaceutical that's now been acquired by Jazz. We saw some patents come out for Epidiolex. We've seen some of these things come through, right? And we've seen industry pushback, right? When the 9/11 patent that was filed by UCAN, shout out to us. Not me anymore, but was at the time. that actually encompass their patent. But then what happens with cannabis companies is sometimes they run out of money, and the bankruptcy courts don't always keep your patent enforcement lawsuits intact. And what is a patent without an enforcement action? It was the first patent enforcement action in cannabis that has ever, it was a formulary patent because you cannot patent a cannabinoid, but it was a formulary patent. And so what it did was it was the first cannabinoid-based patent that passed the Alice test, which the Alice test, for those of you who don't know, is what decides if this patent can stand up and there is a federally enforceable patent lawsuit that can continue to move forward. And that was a huge piece of case law that was established during those proceedings. It's super interesting if you're into that kind of thing. However, yeah, I mean, rescheduling would increase research, but only in the fact that research is paid, and research is a very, very, very high dollar industry. And that is because the pharmaceutical companies are only going to do that research on something that they can secure a drug patent and FDA preclusion on. To ensure their profitability going forward. So without an ROI, there is no research. So please don't get deluded that because Schedule 3 would allow for more research, that they're doing that on, for the better of the people, for the better of the patients, for the better of the industry, because that has absolutely zero zilch to do with why medical research is done on anything. They're not trying to find a cure. They're trying to find a way to monetize your sickness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And remember that codeine and morphine can be patented. So what do? They made hydrocodone, which is a hydrogen on codeine, patented. Oxycodone, which is a oxygen on the codeine molecule. Hydromorphone, which is a hydrogen molecule on morphine. And they patented them. They make shitloads of money. That's where this is going, because if I'm representing a pharmaceutical company and there's a history of doing this and making money, guess where we're going? Mm-hmm. Going right to where Wharton School of Business.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, this is how it works. Fucking do it again. Mm-hmm. And the rest of us are going to be selling weed out of our trunks again.
Mm-hmm. Stone, any thoughts on this, Stone?
I think you guys said it all. It's yeah, I can see on one side it looks like promise and research and all that, but on the other side it's the total Trojan horse for the industry. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, well,
I don't know where
well,
you
Stone,
go.
I can tell you we definitely haven't said it all, because I haven't even said my piece yet, Stone.
I want to hear what your plan is. I think. Go ahead. I want to hear what your plan.
You want to hear my plan? My plan here.
Can I make a guess? Can I hazard a guess?
What?
Can I hazard a guess?
Hazard a guess.
I said it yesterday.
Yeah, I'm gonna say my plan. Just hold on, Jenny Beth. Hold on. I'm sure you may, because you know what I'm saying. I mentioned this on yesterday's show. Here's my prediction of what's gonna happen. I'm gonna kind of set the stage. So Trump has been challenged every which way, legally, by the courts in what he is allowed to do through the executive branch, one way or another, on every single level. And a number of the courts have all agreed that Trump has the right to do everything that he's doing in pretty much every single aspect that has been challenged so far. Now, seeing as how, and I have always said that Trump does not have the power to do an executive order to move cannabis out of the Controlled Substances Act, or even move it within the Controlled Substances Act. I've always stated that, and I still believe that to be the case. However, Trump, being as big and badass as he is, this is what Trump should do. Okay, Stone, you're gonna love this. What Trump should do, okay, is Trump should do an executive order to deschedule cannabis completely, all the way, right? And then that's going to send everybody into a tailspin, because then they're going to end up taking that to court. The Democrats, it's going to be funny to see what Democrats are totally opposed to this, because they're totally going to be opposed to it because it's him doing it, first of all. Okay, so that's going to be very, very telling all within itself. It's going to be magnificent to watch. And then at the same time too, it will also give Pam Bondi, who actually does have the ability to deliver an executive order in regards with descheduling cannabis, a clear directive of what she needs to do through the Justice Department, and then boom, that sets the table right there for full descheduling. Boom, and then whatever administration comes in next, that yes, they would have the ability to do it. But at the same time, if the court case goes and ends up getting to the Supreme Court, we know Justice Thomas will rule in our favor in regards with descheduling cannabis, because he doesn't believe that should be there. So it's a win-win-win any which way it goes, and he didn't ever get any pushback when he created the Farm Bill, which actually defaulted legalizing cannabis in the first place because it's all the same definition of cannabis sativa L. The only arbitrary differentiation is this artificial 0.3 THC percentage that they put in there as a definition. So or the other option too, Stone, is that he could do with an executive order a simple amend the Farm Bill and basically just remove that definition of 0.3 THC, and then by default cannabis would be fully descheduled under the original Farm Bill, and boom, life would go on and the world would be a great place and everybody would vote Republican. No one would probably ever vote for a Democrat ever again in life.
I would like to see the last thing that you said done. I think that would be cool because I mean, literally they've already legalized cannabis.
Yeah,
like you said, there's just that 0.3 barrier.
Mm-hmm.
Removing that, I think, would be a boss move. I would.
That would be a boss move, bro.
I'd him up for that one.
I mean, it would just be great to watch the Democrats go and try to fight him on it because they'll be like, "Oh, you can't do this. Oh, you can't do this," because they're gonna fight him on everything. You know what I mean? If he breathes, they like to fight him on just breathing. So you know.
Well, there is this thing called the Constitution. Okay?
I agree with that, Dale.
And Article 1, Section 1 says all legislative powers in the hands of the Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And what you're talking about is legislating, which he may have the power to do, he doesn't have the right to do. And there's a difference there. And you're right, people are going to fight it just because it's Donald Trump.
Exactly.
They don't like it.
It'll be great. It'll be great for great spectacle for us to watch and cover. I hope it happens.
Well, but
praying every night.
That means everyone's going to vote Republican.
Oh, they will.
Got the big third of the country going, I don't like either party. You're all full of shit.
Well, most of those people don't vote though, Dale. They just stay home.
Really?
Yeah.
You better hope.
I mean, most of them do stay home. The people that feel that disenfranchised as to what you're relating to, most of them don't even vote. Don't vote at all. And so, but I totally get it. As far as you know, there is a class that's going to vote for Trump regardless, and there's a class of people that are going to vote for Democrats regardless because they're, you know what I'm saying, I don't understand why, but they do. And you know, and I'm not saying that Trump is perfect, but he's a lot better than any of the options that are going to be presented before you.
Well, that's your story, and you're sticking to it
all day, every day.
I appreciate that.
America first, all day.
But that big center of the country that's over 36% that didn't vote for either party last time is out there with their radar ups, like, who represents me? And weed just isn't that big an issue for them. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what to say about that. And I agree.
But Dale, if you look
at the end of the
Dale, if you look at the polling, Dale, all right. Now, I agree with you that, you know, cannabis isn't one of the top 10 issues of as far as what Americans are facing every day. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, it is something that has overwhelming support. And I just feel as though that if Trump did deschedule cannabis overall, it's going to give so many people a favorable taste in their mouth in regards with voting Republican and voting for Trump, saying, hey, you know what? I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the things that this guy says, but at least they did do this. And a majority of Americans believe that it should happen. And so just for that, I think it's going to be, you know, just like, you know, like the sprinkles on a cupcake. You know what I mean? It's everybody loves them.
I don't see a scenario in the world where everybody loves Donald Trump, except maybe you.
As you know,
maybe Sleepy Joe. It's creepy Donald. Okay. You can run all you want from that, but he's creepy Donald, and he's scrambling to keep from being made more creepy. And the middle America is going, I don't like either one of these. I don't want nose rings and green hair. I don't want some fucking neo-Nazi. Okay, somewhere in the middle there. Somebody has got to appeal these voters, not from a political standpoint, or he's my guy and he's the. None of these are the savior of the world. Fucking politicians are malignant pieces of shit. Let's just start right there, okay? They don't really understand us. They don't care. They just want to get votes. The Democrats are a coalition party. They put together a coalition that couldn't elect somebody for fucking dog catcher. It was hard to watch.
It was, it was great.
Republicans didn't do any better. They got a few more votes than the Democrats, but the middle third of the country, more than that, said, I don't like either one of your messages. You're full of shit. And bringing weed in, may be speaking to us and our problems. I just don't think it's going to sway the middle of the country, because the entire apple cart's been turned upside down. Donald Trump managed to do that. Just flip the whole goddamn apple cart upside down, and nobody knows what to do. And you're watching politicians just act stupid on both sides. It's like I'm watching them. I'm a lifelong Democrat, and I think you guys have got your head up your ass. But you look at the Republicans, they've got rectal myopia too. In the middle America is going, I'm struggling, and fucking beef just went up. I can't afford to buy hamburgers for my kids anymore. What are we going to do about that?
It's all fantastic points, Dale. I'm not, you know what I mean? All fantastic points. Well, that was a fun little discussion, and you know, and at the same time, if you want to see more of this stuff, you should check out yesterday's episode, because we got into a whole bunch of stuff yesterday. But nonetheless,
I know you pissed me off because I came in as Casper the Ghost while we were trying to say that Texas is dictating federal policy, and I'm like, other way around. Texas is finding their arguments from what's being discussed in federal arguments right now. No offense, Stone. I love you. You're very rational about all these things. But damn it, Jason, next time I'm Casper and I'm the voice from above. Listen.
Well, I mean, sorry.
I'm just going to announce when I come in like that. I'm going to be like, Mom's home, and then just go off.
Oh, boy.
But coming up next.
Slow down, Jenny. Slow down. Dale has been an attorney since the Reagan administration. He has represented physicians, hospitals, insurance companies, cops, corrections officers, and for the last 25 years, he has specialized in cannabis law. He served a 5-year federal prison sentence and managed to save his law license. But he is blunt. He doesn't smoke them because they're ratchet nasty. They turn your teeth yellow and a whole bunch of other nasty shit. But he is honest, and he's unconcerned with public opinions, your opinions, and will show you how he can defy gravity by pissing up a rope. That's right, it is your favorite Tio Loco, and you can now find him at his own law office at the law office of none other than Dale Schafer.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Favorite Tio Loco, and for Jenny Beth, your favorite full of shiticus. Here we go again. My story this morning comes out of Marijuana Moment. It comes from Missouri, and the headline is, New Missouri Draft Marijuana Rules Target Predatory License Practices, Hemp Recalls, and Non-Compliant Business Owners. Now, when I read this, I thought, okay, hopefully Missouri has been listening to our show, reading the news that we're following about how fucked up these programs are, how regulations haven't worked. They're learning. They got a couple of points here they want to try to make. And California has worked on some of these. They just haven't figured it out. First of all, if you're an owner of a business, okay, and one of the owners does something that violates the law. In California here, if you get pinched for a crime, and especially involving weed, you get sued for weed, things like that, you're an owner, you're a manager, director, officer, things like that, you can be bounced out. They're going to kick your ass out because you can't be an owner with those kind of things on your record. Missouri's trying to do is say, okay, we need to make sure that anybody involved running these businesses is not going to have a record of doing things we don't approve of. Apparently, there's some people doing some scandalous shit in the legal industry there. I was shocked to read it, but, you know, there it is. People in weed doing scandalous stuff, I don't know what to say. So there were people running businesses that were bringing in out-of-state THC and THCA. The rule said you can't do this. Okay, boom. You can't bring in out-of-state stuff. It's all going to be made in the state. So they had some problems enforcing the rules of people that run these companies and own them, broke the rules. What do we do with them now? Okay. Now, what I can tell you I did here in California is that every time I set up a business, a contract, management services agreement, things like that, everyone who would qualify as an owner had to have, I'm going to kick your ass out clause if you get in trouble for doing these things, because you're going to then put our license in jeopardy. I think Missouri is learning from things like here in California. You need to have tight rules of what owners and operators and managers of these cannabis business are allowed to do. And if they break those rules, they're going to be bounced out. Here in California, I think it's a 5-year prohibition from being involved anymore. And I'm hoping Missouri is reading that and paying attention to the problems they had in California, where, you know, you just got to keep control of this. They're also going to have a yearly review of owners, make sure you haven't violated the rules and you got something in your background. I just hope they really look beyond the owners to people who may have an owner as a straw man, to people that are really controlling it. Maybe they can't be involved. I've seen that before. I've been involved in litigation where you find out someone you're involved in was precluded in some other state from ever holding, being an officer, a director, or a manager of a corporation. And it's like, here they are, and you're an owner or on the board. How in the hell did this happen? We need better rules around that. And trust me, if you were in Schedule 3 and you wanted to be an owner, operator, or manager of the Schedule 3 DEA scheduled business, there would be pretty tight rules. Unless you're a sackler, maybe you get away with it. Okay. One other thing they mention in there is social equity businesses being front for somebody pulling strings behind them. And I've talked numerous times about my experience here in California, where they require someone with a social equity right to be the 51% owner. And it turned into kind of a joke here in California, where, and I've set these up before, where someone who qualified as social equity, they smiled and were the face until they got through the whole process. And once they were beyond the scrutiny of a social equity 51%, this person got paid money, they walked out, and the big owners stepped in. They'd always been the operators and owners anyways, had a straw man there. And it seems like Missouri is looking at this, and they call it a front, which exactly it is. And if you don't make this specifically illegal, or you're going to lose your license or be punished for doing it, it's going to happen all day long. So what I'm hopeful here is that Missouri can tighten these regulations up. And this is in a regulatory enactment phase right now. And what happens is you pass state laws, which are enabling statutes, and then agencies are set up and the agencies pass the rules. They have to put them out for public comment. Comment phase goes through. And then you typically have the Office of Administrative Law look at it and make sure that it's going to pass court muster, constitutional muster, and it becomes a rule. They're in that process right now. Hopefully, they will learn, and politics doesn't get involved in this, and they can write rules and regulations that are easily understood so that when you break them, you can't go, well, I didn't know. Well, you should know, and if you get caught, you should get spanked and maybe kicked out of the industry forever, but certainly not be able to, just continue to violate rules and be involved in ownership, management, director, things like that. So I'm going to throw it back for you guys to talk about. But hopefully, Missouri is actually learning, and they can put some rules in effect that actually work. You guys got to say.
Man, Missouri, man, this is super interesting, Dale. I believe this is a follow up to a story that we covered the other week, and this is super interesting because one of the things that they said is that they never anticipated bad actors losing licenses and then having the ability to go on to new licenses, and it's just like, how would you not see that from the beginning? Like what kind of blinders did you have on your eyes in the first place when you guys created this legislation? It is just baffling to me. And, I just find it super interesting because they did so many things right. And this is such a obvious no-brainer that how they weren't able to catch this the first time that they put their legislation together is just totally beyond me.
I'll give them a pass. They did so much right. I'll give them a pass on this.
You're good. Is that
down
it?
here in Texas, I'm watching these regulators are tightening up rules to protect the market and consumers. And in Texas, they're just trying to decide if fucking hemp is real or not. So it's
Well, and I'm going to go ahead and say what I said again yesterday. So
oh boy, here we go.
Because you weren't here. That it's for the Texas situation is frustrating because, like, let's be real. They're not fucking wrong. There are a lot of operators with fake COAs that are sending absolute fucking straight up weed under the guise of hemp and THCA.
It's all THCA.
Oh, shut up, Jason. They're all fucking here. Fine then, under the loophole of THCA.
It's not a loophole.
So like, it sucks because like, yes, you want people to have access, and yes, there needs to be meaningful regulation. And the way you regulate this and cut the shit, if that's what Texas wants to do, is to put it into a track and trace system and actually have a real industry that you can stand up. Because otherwise, hey, trap. Not mad at it at fucking all. So please don't think that I'm saying this from a prohibitionist standpoint. But like, we're kind of gaslighting them a little bit, saying you guys are completely wrong. This is just hemp. It's not 30% cannabis. Yes, it is, and it probably came from California from an operator near you with a fake fucking COA. I have people all the time be like, "Can you send me a COA for hemp?" I'm like, "No, are you retarded? I sure can't. No." And you know what they're doing? They're going and they're buying trap packs out of fucking licensed facilities or their licensed brands. They're about to go take that shit right down to the great state of Texas. And this story, Dale, actually is a follow-up from my story that I did on Tuesday. I will not give Missouri a pass on this because this is such a dumb moment. The reason why we have such regulations on who can own and operate cannabis companies is because we're playing with a fucking Schedule I substance. Now, is it improperly scheduled? Absolutely. But all these fees and all this ridiculous shit we pay, that's like your hood tax that says that, hey, you can break federal law and we're going to let you do it. So you got to make sure that you have a scrupulous owner in that situation. Social equity is a just like hotbed of people who don't necessarily have the knowledge to protect themselves from predatory contracts. So you need to get an attorney. You need to get someone who is used to doing this. Find someone to help you understand what you are signing. Because, yeah, I mean, you didn't see this coming, Missouri. Stevie Wonder saw this coming, and Ray Charles warned him.
Oh, man. Ray Charles warned him. Damn, Jenny Beth. Look at that. Wow.
That was back in my day.
Yeah.
Ray Charles and the Stevie Wonder. Like, oh, okay. Well, Jenny Beth, what I understood going into this, when I first got into the cannabis industry, I'd been dealing in the black market. A lot of my friends, and I'd sold weed in the black market before back in the day, who understand that people who take those kind of risks, they are not particularly agreeable people. So if there's rules out there, they're used to breaking rules. Okay? And I was in prison with a guy, okay, who was not allowed to be an owner of a business in the cannabis industry. He found straw men. I had to deal with him. It's like, look, motherfucker, I know who you are. I know what you're doing. And I pulled his pants down. He didn't particularly like it, but it's like, I'm not getting my client in the middle of something I know is not legal. Okay? But this guy was making all sorts of excuses and rationales about why he was doing what he's doing. When you read the actual rules, and it can't pass the smell test, like, I'm not getting in the middle of it. Maybe you think you're going to win in court, but I've been in front of juries, and you look at them and you ask them, does this pass the smell test? It's like, is THCA not weed? It doesn't pass the smell test for the average person. So there's where Jenny Beth is right. You need someone who's been in and around this industry and knows what criminals will do, people who will not follow rules are going to do, how they sneak this shit in, make sure that somebody's there with a big goddamn baseball bat saying, the fuck you will. Not getting my company in this. And if you don't do that, I don't want to hear you complaining, oh, that I got fleeced or taken here. Well, you know, if you stick your head up your ass and don't pay attention, what am I supposed to be sorry for you? No.
Yeah. And you're not going to win in court. Unfortunately, I've had operators that have lost in court. And I'm like, why would you do this? Like, why would you knew what you were doing? And then that same person came to me when Missouri was doing all this shit. And they were like, oh, this guy from Missouri called me. He's trying to get as many social equity qualified people as he can to go on applications. And he's paying them to do it. And I'm like, didn't we just spend a year in a lawsuit? Like, I mean, so it comes on both sides. Like, it's an opportunistic situation. Like, we should have seen this fucking coming. And yes, if you're the owner of that company and you're a social equity owner, you need to be controlling your fucking company.
Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. Well, on that, we're going to roll.
They don't.
I'll go ahead, Dale. Sorry.
Yeah, they don't, Jenny Beth. No, they don't. And I've come into situations where a social equity person's like, I'm getting screwed. So I take a look at all the paperwork. It's like, it says right here, you're going to get screwed. It tells you how you're going to get screwed. And what, you didn't read this? You didn't pay attention?
It tells you who's screwing you.
Yeah. And oh, by the way, you weren't honest with the city council or board of supervisors when they put you in front of them and asked you about this. You weren't honest about these secret agreements. And, you know, I think it's horrible what happened here. But, you know, how do I save your cookies? You make a shit sandwich and you want me to make it taste good. It's like, I can't make a shit sandwich taste good. Stop getting in the middle of a shit sandwich.
Yep. And on that, we're going to roll into our next commercial break, and we are going to be right back. I'm going to try this. This may be a new commercial, you guys. I'm going to try this out and see if this works.
Every legend has a humble beginning.
In world news, leaders are gathering today for the annual summit.
I want to tell you something, Che. The government is watching us through the television.
Oh, John.
Look, right there. They're trying to hack into my TV box.
We're still not able to hack into the TV box, sir.
Ha! But they can't.
I've rebuilt the entire electronic system, and it sends and receives signals through quantum phase space. They'll never get in. Engage target.
In other news, local authorities are investigating a series of strange atmospheric phenomena reported by residents.
Ma'am, we're with the federal government. We need to ask you some questions.
John?
Is there a problem? We've been trying to penetrate your TV box for over 6 months.
I told you they were trying to watch us through the TV, but you didn't believe me.
We can't get in, and to be frank, we have no idea what you've created.
Yeah, that's the point. It's called privacy. You know what the Fourth Amendment guarantees?
All we know is that we can't get inside. We want to know if you can create one for us.
QUX. Even the government wants one. Every legend has a humble beginning.
We are back, you guys. And stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. And YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.high9news.com.
I'm Cole Preston, and today I'm at Blue Island Beer Company for the premiere of my mini documentary on legalization policy in Illinois. I've been following cannabis policy since colorful Colorado legalized it all the way back in the day, and when my home state of Illinois decided to legalize it, I just became enamored. I wondered, what would it actually look like? If you'd like to see how Illinois fell short in achieving meaningful reform in their cannabis policy, you can watch my mini-doc now at colememo.com/mini-doc.
And we are back, you guys. All right, Jenny, we got to roll into Stone. Rolling Stone.
Yeah, I was doing that already. See how I know my job when I show up in the morning?
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. All right. Thanks for the micromanagement.
When you show up in the morning.
Coming up next, straight out of the ATX, not a Target parking lot, though. Well, he's not hitting the high road or pushing the shopping cart back because he does return them. The great hair of the High at 9 News, Stone Slade.
Hey.
You do have great. You do have
like
great hair,
one.
Stone. That is true. That's true.
Thank you. Yes. Today it's a good hair day, so I'm glad you guys noticed. All right. Yesterday, I testified before the Texas House Public Health Committee against HB 5, a bill that will, as we reported many times, wipe out most hemp-derived THC products in Texas, or all THC in Texas, in a hearing that was as revealing as it was frustrating. This was all taking place, of course, in the special session that's been called. It's been stalled for weeks because House Democrats left the state to block Governor Abbott's redistricting plan. In an act of political hostage-taking, Abbott tied disaster relief for Texas flood victims to that plan, so nothing meaningful is moving forward. Flood relief, redistricting, hemp, fuck, I'm all over the place. All lumped together in a political game of chicken. Abbott already promised that if Democrats do not return, he'll call another special session with the same agenda. Hemp's not going anywhere off of that list. Abbott's been very clear that he wants regulation, including 21-plus age limits, THC caps, and no synthetics. But some lawmakers aren't following his lead. They're pushing for an outright ban still. That means that even though the governor says add a few missing rules, this committee is entertaining a bill that would again dismantle an $8 billion Texas industry and hand it straight to the black market. It didn't take long to see which committee members, where the committee members stood. James Frank, Mike Alcott, and Mike Schofield seemed combative, taking testimony like it was a personal attack. Katrina Pearson and Charles Cunningham, on the other hand, appeared interested in finding middle ground. Industry voices made a strong case for regulation over prohibition. Lucas Gilkey of Hometown Hero, a Coast Guard veteran and licensed hemp business owner, reminded the committee that the industry is already regulated by the Texas Department of State Health Services, which collects over $1.6 million a year in licensing fees. The problem, only about 30% of those funds are being used for enforcement, and the rest is disappearing into the state's general fund. Gilkey's point was sharp. If enforcement is the issue, fix the enforcement, raise license fees if necessary, hire more inspectors, but do not destroy an entire industry. He laid out the stakes: 53,000 Texas jobs, $4.3 billion in annual retail sales, and $260 million in sales tax revenue. He also called out the hypocrisy of lawmakers working with lobbyists for the Texas Compassionate Use Program, a monopoly selling many of the same products that they want banned on the hemp market. Colton Luther of Texas Greencraft drove it home, saying that House Bill 5 would make it impossible to serve the everyday Texans, including veterans, blue-collar workers, and patients who depend on these products. Elizabeth Miller from the Republican Liberty Caucus gave deeply personal testimony on how cannabis is the only thing keeping her functional with a serious medical condition, noting that she's forced to commit a felony every day just to live her life. Representative Katrina Pearson asked questions that's been hanging over this debate. What about THC and psychosis? When she pressed Texas Tech scientist Mr. McMahon, the answer was telling. He said, yes, there is correlation between THC use and psychosis, but it is in vulnerable individuals with pre-existing conditions. Causation is not supported by the research, and importantly, much of the psychosis being discussed is not from plant-derived hemp products at all. It's from illegal synthetics like K2 and spice. As Gilkey and others pointed out, those synthetics have been banned in Texas for over a decade and are being sold on the street, not in licensed Texas hemp stores. If lawmakers cannot or will not make that distinction, they risk pushing consumers toward the very dangerous, unrelated products that they claim to be protecting from the public. And I got to say this in a quick break in the story, that's been the most frustrating thing is watching the lawmakers completely get confused by what's being bought in gas stations compared to what's being bought in actual licensed hemp dispensary stores. Anyway, when it was my turn to testify, I told the committee that stripping down cannabis to only CBD and CBG forces unnecessary chemical processing and removes beneficial cannabinoids that work together for a better effect. I shared that I've spent the last few years traveling across the country, meeting patients, industry experts, and even the governor of Colorado to see how legalization actually works. And what we're discussing here is not that. I said it, and I said this needs to be said more often. I said even every bad thought that people have about this plant comes from decades of propaganda and not science. In Texas, excessive alcohol use kills more than 10,000 people a year, but it's legal and celebrated. Cannabis is non-toxic, doesn't cause fatal overdoses, and in legal states, it's associated with lower rates of teen use, violent crime, and DUIs. HB 5 will not protect Texans. It'll protect corporate interest and power cartels and push safe, tested products out of the hands of responsible business owners and into the shadows. Yesterday's hearing showed a split in the committee. Some want a real conversation about how to regulate this market responsibly. Others seem locked into prohibition no matter the facts. As long as the special session remains hostage to redistricting, this bill may be stalled for now, but with Abbott promising session after session until the agenda is passed, we're going to be right back here. And if Texans do not speak up, we risk trading a regulated, revenue-generating industry for a black market run by the very people lawmakers claim to be fighting. The politics in the room were far more toxic than the plant that they're trying to ban. I'm Stone Slade with the High 9 News.
Wow, great ending on that, Stone. That was good.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, they were far more toxic than the plant that they're trying. That was pretty good. Well, you know, the good news about all this is you know, Dan Patrick is still on his crusade to ban all cannabis, basically all cannabis products, whether they're synthetic or not. Governor Abbott is not on that page, and he ultimately holds the final card in the deck, and he is calling for support, some sensible regulation. So I think that's probably the best thing that Texas has going for them. And really, they just need to have some responsible age gating, some parameters set in place. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody's against many of the proposed changes that would need to happen as far as, the age gating as previously mentioned, I'm saying, some lab testing and whatnot. And and some potency cap limits on manufactured products. I don't really see I don't really see that those as being that big of points for points of contention for the industry versus regulators or whatnot. But that's kind of what it is. And so I don't understand why everyone gives Governor Abbott such a hard time about this, because they definitely shouldn't be, because he's definitely an ally to them on this, since he is not part of the just ban it altogether brigade. And, he's ultimately going to be the one. And so he's like, hey, you know what, legislature, if you're not going to get this right, I'm going to keep on bringing you back and back and back until you guys will get it right. And otherwise, I'm just going to keep on vetoing every bill that you propose, because it's not within the framework of what Texas and freedom is all about.
I like that, and we will see. I think Governor Abbott, a lot of his decision is made more on political life than maybe how he truly feels. But I'll take it. And it, like I said, it's frustrating, one, that they're just straight up coming back with, like, here's another bill that's basically SB3 with a 5 on it, and still going with the ban after the governor straight up said that's not what he wants. So I would expect if it gets voted for a ban again, that he's going to veto it again, hopefully. But the most frustrating points were that distinction between the lawmakers not understanding that all this crap that, oh my God, dude. Chief Steve Dye from Allen, Texas, another huge dumbass, excuse me for lack of a better word, just out there spewing lies about, again, products that he found not in a licensed hemp dispensary type store, but in more of that convenience store, sell you whatever they're buying from California,
like K2 type products is what you're referring to, right, Stone? Yeah.
And then his testing process that he claimed, I do this extra testing, but it costs much money. But it goes through a heating process, which then turns whatever it is into
it gives it a false positive. He gives it a false positive.
Yeah. And so that's frustrating. And the other frustrating thing is that the lawmakers are having a super hard time grasping this 0.3, comparing what that 0.3 means to what a dosage is in milligrams, and watching them almost grasp it and then lose it, and then almost grasp it and lose it was super frustrating. Aaron from Teos Tonic got up there pretty close to last. I think he broke it down really good. He came down and basically said, if you want to fix regulation and do it right, this is the way it needs to be done. And he made some really good points there. So I was glad that I feel at the end of the night they understood the 0.3 to milligram situation a lot better than they did at the beginning.
Well, I have an objection to giving too much credence to law enforcement in this entire equation.
Yeah.
I mean, I've represented cops before. Their job is to be a junkyard dog. Okay. When somebody breaks the rules, I'm going to go in and bite your ass and drag you away. But if you pass rules you can't enforce, right, the junkyard dog's always barking. Okay. And so the politicians have to understand the cops are going to bark about this, especially the people in management, because they buy into this narrative. I mean, you can find these cops all over the place. They think that they know what they're talking about because they continue to have to deal with crime around marijuana. Okay. Well, if we try to make cannabis or marijuana not a crime, they're going to scream, yeah, but we bark all the time about this. You got to listen to, we're barking all the time. Yeah, you're a fucking junkyard dog. Say what you got to say. And politicians need to put that in perspective. Like if you go talk to somebody who's a criminal in this industry, they're going to, deal with all the ways to get around the rules. Okay? You just tighten this shit up and pass laws you can actually enforce.
I totally agree, Dale, because you bring up an interesting point is they're always complaining about all this crime and it involving cannabis. If you removed cannabis, then they would just be talking about crime. You know what I mean? And they wouldn't. It wouldn't even be a talking point anymore if, you know what I'm saying, President Trump did like I have previously said and just deschedules cannabis. It would be totally just take it off of the table and basically just chop their legs off, and they, you know what I'm saying, they can go and actually fight real crime, which is what we want them to do anyway. Getting going after fentanyl. You know what I'm saying? Rapists, criminals, all these pedos out there. Just focusing on all of that type of stuff is what they need to be focused on, in my opinion, and not on cannabis.
Yeah.
It's totally ridiculous.
Chief Dye said, how can I focus on all of that if I'm focusing on cannabis? So it was like, well, you just
exactly
answered your own question.
Exactly.
What are you doing focusing on cannabis?
Exactly right. Exactly right. Exactly right.
In the medical community, and especially in the psychiatric community, when they classify something as a use disorder, okay, and cannabis use disorder, if you take the criminal aspect of cannabis use out of it, you know, the numbers just crater.
Yeah.
Because if you're not getting arrested for smoking a joint or growing a plant in your backyard, you do not meet the criteria for a use disorder, because you can continue to fulfill your activities of daily living and meet your responsibilities. It isn't like a crackhead who's going out and ripping copper out of your goddamn building, or some woman flat backing to make her next line of coke. No. You take that out and the numbers all get changed, but they don't want to do that because it's a hobby horse they continue to ride. And it just drives me nuts, because I understand medicine. I get it. And when you point it out to them, they pucker up, you know, and they try to interrupt you. They don't know what the fuck to say because they're full of shit over all this. Take away the illegality and the majority of the problems we're talking about just go away. No one would have a question. If you're 19 years old and you want to buy league, you want to go buy a bottle of Jack Daniels, the answer is get the fuck out of here, kid. I'm going to have your ass trespassed from here. That should be no different for weed. You shouldn't be in there buying it unless it's medical and you got a medical reason. Nobody's concerned about that. We don't know what the fuck's in it. I don't give so much a shit about THC. I want to make sure there's no heavy metals, other shit like that in there, fertilizers, chemicals. That's what people want. And the rest of it is not criminal. It's regulatory. The cops don't want to give it up, because if I smell weed, I'm going to run in and bust the whole goddamn car and go on headlines and all this stuff. No, stop it. Go after real crime. We all know what real crime is.
Yeah.
Rape, robbery, murder, assault, battery, arson, that kind of stuff. That's real crime. What happened in the Target parking lot? That's real fucking crime. Someone with, you know, an ounce of weed in their car. Give me a fucking break. When do we get to stop doing this stupid shit?
I like, there was an ex-cop that called out, well, didn't call out Officer Dye while he was present. It was much later in the evening, but Chief Dye had said something about, oh shit, don't you hate it when you just forget the hell you were just talking about?
Oh man.
That was me all the time.
Son of a biscuit.
I don't remember. Fuck. Never mind.
Well,
wow. That was
Diane Goldstein is a former cop. I think from Huntington Beach, lieutenant.
Yep. And
she belongs to an organization where they all go, you know, drug laws should not be the crimes we make them. Okay? Stop all this shit. It's a medical problem. It needs more funding for medical. I mean, if you're out stealing shit for your drugs, yeah, you need to get in trouble. That's a crime. Okay. But just being a drug addict should not be a crime. Sorry.
Agreed.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I might have fucking forgot it again. Oh, no. Officer Dye. Sorry, here we go.
Yep, here we go.
That's good weed, Stone.
So he said how he just wants it to be an easy test. He doesn't want it. One of their big arguments is that they're too backed up in the testing labs, so they can't get stuff back fast enough to see if it's whatever, and the DA may not even want to prosecute it. He's like, so I just need a test if it has THC or not. That's just, I want an easy test, THC or not. And another cop later came up and said, just called him out. He was like, that's just lazy policing. That guy just doesn't want to do his job. And that's what it is. Like, you're not going to cut out all of this just because this guy doesn't want to do police work. You know what I mean?
You're so anyway. Right. And, you know, if they just took the approach of weed for the people, we wouldn't be in this situation. And on that, we're going to roll into our final commercial and we're going to be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, you know? And I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I I heard it gets you high as a kite. Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you know you're not going to have to worry about flying high. GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where I'm even find this? You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Test it. It's not a name, it's a promise.
And we are back, you guys. We are back. So I have the last two stories of the day. All queued up. Are you ready, Jenny? Are you ready, Jenny?
Yeah.
All right.
Once again, the micromanager in the morning, the high at night head honcho, the biggest pain in my rear end, bringing up the caboose of the show, Jason Beck.
Oh, man. Thank you so much, Jenny. Thank you so much. Well, Indiana governor says federal marijuana rescheduling could speed up statewide legalization, you guys. That'd be great for Indiana. Indiana Governor Mike Braun says a potential federal move to reclassify marijuana could accelerate legalization efforts in Indiana, a state where all reforms of the substance remain prohibited currently. Speaking at an August 12th news conference, Braun said President Donald J. Trump's recent remarks about rescheduling marijuana from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 probably adds a little more fuel to the fire in terms of the speed with which it might occur. Schedule 3 substances such as codeine and anabolic steroids are available by prescription once they receive FDA approval, unlike Schedule 1 drugs, which are considered to have no accepted medical use. Braun has long said his position will be guided by law enforcement input, but he acknowledged momentum for legalization has grown in recent years, including among some Republicans in the state. Last session, several GOP lawmakers introduced bills to decriminalize or legalize marijuana, and Indiana is surrounded by states that have legalized some form of marijuana, and polling has shown increasing public support for change. However, key legislative leaders remain opposed to full legalization. Senate President pro tempore Roderick Bray has voiced safety concerns, but said he's open to discussing decriminalization of small amounts, and House Speaker Todd Houston has argued that the potential tax revenue is not a sufficient reason to enact such a significant policy shift. The push for rescheduling began back in 2023 when the Department of Health and Human Services recommended the change to the Drug Enforcement Administration, which formally proposed it in 2024. And the proposal has been stalled until now, but President Trump said on August 11th that that decision could come within the next few weeks, you guys. Well, we shall see. And I can't wait to see what Indiana is going to do when President Trump deschedules cannabis. What are they going to do? Because then it's automatically going to be defaulted legal in Indiana, and they may not even have a framework in place for that. But we shall see, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Whoopsie, we put the cart before the horse again. Oh no. Yep,
exactly.
They just don't seem to understand. This is not a Democrat or a Republican issue. Mm-hmm. This is the American people want to smoke weed.
Yep.
Okay, they don't want to go to jail for it. Look at it. They understand it's safer than alcohol. Why is all this hysteria over it? You got this group of people who think the sky's going to fall if you do this. And, you know, one of the things that nobody really wants to talk about in these equations, the tax money isn't enough. Okay, well, how about the enforcement costs? It saves you all these goddamn enforcement costs for law enforcement. Oh, maybe that's why the cops don't want it, because they're getting money to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the circular argument here, at some point, they got to be called out with facts in front of, have their pants pulled down in front of the public about this. And, I like the initiative process as the final announcement. Put it in front of the people as a plebiscite. You want cannabis to be legal in the state for adults. Boom. And let them vote. And if they vote, for God's sakes, don't then, crawfish on them and try to figure out ways to get around it. Just let the people have, the people are not authorizing selling fentanyl at the Stop and Rob. Come on. This is common sense. People know smoking weed is not anywhere close to these other drugs that are in Schedule 1 or Schedule 2. They get that. Okay. The politicians are just a bunch of pussies and don't want to go out there and risk anything to bring the people what they want. It's very frustrating to watch. I mean, I really have politicians give me gastric upset. They're just so full of shit.
Yeah. So full of shitticus. Fair enough.
We covered that one.
Any other thoughts, Jenny?
Coming up next, the very, very end of this train.
Alien Charlie.
Oh,
Jason Beck.
man, you guys are funny.
Well, Jason, no, I like when you do more than one story because I really like that we're tackling, your reading and comprehension, and the more practice makes perfect.
Practice does make perfect, that's for sure. You know what I mean? I definitely have gotten better at this whole reading thing over the time. So that
yes,
part
indeed.
is true. And I do want to make a special note. I don't know if I've mentioned this to any of you guys, but next Friday, not this Friday, but the following Friday, will be High at 9 News's 4th birthday. So we will have completed 3 full years of doing this show, High at 9 News. And so I want to give a big thank you to everybody, everyone that tunes in on a regular basis, and everyone that's been a part of the show throughout all the time. Just want to thank everybody for their time, and we are growing. We made a lot of great progress over this time, but I'm going to talk more about that in next week. But nonetheless,
and just a spoiler, Jason's going to do that show in his birthday suit, and I've made a montage of all the fallen correspondents with the Sarah McLachlan song "Arms of the Angels." So to stay tuned, because you're not going to want to miss that.
Oh, sounds like you have some homework, Jenny Beth. But who else has homework is Oklahoma, because cannabis legalization initiative available for signing at nearly 200 locations in over 80 cities. In Oklahoma's campaign to legalize adult use marijuana is gaining momentum, with petitions now available for signing in over 200 locations in more than 80 cities, you guys. That's right. The broad distribution highlights the scope of the effort, which is leaning on both dispensaries and non-cannabis businesses to bring the initiative directly to residents statewide. The measure, State Question 837, would allow individuals 21 and older to legally possess and purchase marijuana, along with cultivating up to 12 plants. That's right, 2 for personal use. The proposal would establish a system of licensed and regulated cannabis stores with a 10% excise tax placed on adult use cannabis sales, and organizers have until early November to collect roughly 173,000 valid signatures to qualify for the November 2026 ballot. To accomplish this, the campaign has built an expansive network of petition locations that reach from major urban hubs to small rural towns, and ensuring residents across the state have opportunities to participate, and volunteers and business owners have been key in expanding access, with many offering prominent spots for petition tables and encouraging customers to sign them. Supporters say the wide geographic spread of signing locations is critical for success, especially given Oklahoma's size and the legal requirement for all signatures to be collected in person. By placing petitions in nearly every corner of the state, the campaign hopes to build a groundswell of support that reflects the state's diverse population, and proponents of the initiative say that the nearly 200 locations currently housing the petition is just a start, with the number expected to grow substantially in the coming weeks. The initiative comes at a time when Oklahoma's medical marijuana program remains one of the largest in the country, and public opinion continues to shift toward broader legalization. And so if State Question 837 qualifies and is approved by voters, Oklahoma would become the 25th state to legalize adult use cannabis sales, and that would make it half of the union that would have adult use sales. That would be a big deal, in my opinion, if that was to pass in this next midterm election. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Well, Oklahoma, you can't get it right in the beginning, I guess. Fuck it and figure it out as you go.
I think this is great, and the fact that they already have all of these different over 200 locations, you know what I mean, for people to sign these petitions. And I think the best way for them to grow is to partner with all the different retails and get everybody there to sign that are all customers going into these shops. To me, that would make the most sense, because then you're getting them in person. You already know they're of age to be able to vote, because they're already walking into the business in the first place, and you already know that they're pro cannabis. So it would just be a big win-win all the way around.
Yeah.
I want to see what the numbers are, because I suspect the average voter in Oklahoma is like, stop playing games with this. Just make it like liquor, 21, older, be able to buy it. Don't be stupid with it. Grow some in your backyard. Nobody gives a shit anymore. The cops shouldn't be out there harassing you for growing this plant. And let's see if someone will find a way to get it more right than anybody else has.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be hopeful.
Yep. So, one other thing that I did kind of like about this about this story is that they're allowing for 12 plants for cultivation. They didn't designate between mature or immature. They just said 12 plants. And I wonder if that 12 number is an homage to law enforcement, since law enforcement is typically known as 12.
You're so ridiculous. This is why the show goes on too long.
Come on, Jenny. You know that's funny. You know that's funny.
These numbers are so arbitrary. The first one I helped negotiate locally here where I live was 10 flowering and 10 vegging.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it was a workable number. It seemed, 10 is a much better number than 6 or 3 or 12. At least we're used to it. But it gave people more than enough. They could have a veg coming. They could have some mothers to cut off of or whatever. But then you got to flower 10 plants. And it worked fairly well until the DEA came in and threw me in prison. That's a whole nother story. But the numbers were stupid because we used to have 99 plants on 100 square feet. That was normal's first, position. And 99 plants on 100 square feet, you're growing fucking Bermuda grass. What are you trying to do here? I don't like the numbers. If you're selling it, that's the line. You're making this shit up, making money off it. But if I grow pickles in cucumbers in the backyard and make a bunch of pickles out of it, I can give it away. If I try to sell it, now I'm subject to all the laws. I think we just get this way too complicated. It's not heroin. Let's get over it. It's not coke. It's not meth. It's not even anabolic steroids. It's weed. It's never killed anybody. The sky hasn't fallen. Can we just move on?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if Oklahoma can finally do it.
Fair enough, you guys. No final comments, Jenny Beth?
No.
All right, well, on that, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. And big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst Cannabis for helping us keep the lights on over here, and thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day, and thank you to Cloud Media partners Elias and Kai somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.